Good morning. I'm Pastor Mary Ann Kellenbach, pastor at Living Faith Church, which is located in Port St. Lucie Tradition. And today is Wednesday, May the 20th. This month just seems to be flying by so quickly, doesn't it? I love this time of the year. Sometimes I forget that we're in spring coming into the summer, and especially since we've all been sort of locked down for a while. But one of the things that I really love is the flowers and the fragrance of those spring flowers. One of my favorites was lilacs. I lived in New York, and lilacs, we had a lilac bush in my backyard, and the fragrance of these lilacs was overwhelming. It was actually quite overpowering. It was so, so beautiful. My mother used to cut them and bring them into the house, and the whole house would just fill up with the smell of the lilacs and their lavender. That purple color was so, so beautiful. My mother tells a fun story about when my father came to take her out on a date. He was living in New Jersey and she was in Queens, and my grandmother had an arbor in the back. They were florists, and she found out that my mother's favorite flower, one of her favorites, was lilacs. And so she sent my father off with this huge bouquet of lilacs. My mother said that when she opened the door, she didn't even see my father's face. All she saw was the flowers and that fragrance just hitting her. I would have loved to have seen my father going from New Jersey to Queens with all these flowers. A fun story. Well, down here, I have come to love at this time of the year the magnolia bloom. And I really, I've been living here 21 years, and I can honestly say it's only been in the past 2 years that I've actually loved and recognized the smell of the magnolia. I never realized that it was the magnolia that was smelling like that. Gardenia bushes, yes, but the fragrance was absolutely amazing. I can walk down the street now and know there's a magnolia tree somewhere close by. The fragrance is amazing and the bloom is phenomenal. Well, this is the year that I kind of picked my first bloom. Now, I didn't pick it off anybody's tree because I definitely would not do that. It was a tree that was in in the center of town, let's put it that way. So it didn't belong to anybody. But I did pick my first bloom, and I brought it in, and I cut it and trimmed it a little bit, taken off some leaves, put it in some water, and within 5 hours, it closed up. I mean, here was a beautiful bloom, beautiful. I mean, with the stem, I mean, just gorgeous. And it started to close up very, very tightly like this. And I said, oh my gosh, I killed it. I absolutely, I killed it. And I was really upset, but I said, I'm just going to leave it and see what happens. Well, the next morning, as the morning progressed, it began to open up again. Open up beautifully, wider than when I had first brought it into the house. And the fragrance was phenomenal. I mean, just one bloom filled up the whole house. And it wasn't overpowering, it was just perfect. And then that night, it closed up again. And what I realized was it opens and closes based on the sunlight, the night, and the evening. And the next day, it opened up again. And that evening, it closed up again. And then the next day, it opened up again. Only this time, it didn't close. It opened wide, 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 wide open, stretched out. And it didn't close. And the reason it didn't close because at that point, it had died. I've heard that these blooms, once they open, they last for 2 to 3 days. And I've since learned that they close at night because they open to the sun, to the sunlight. This made me reflect on our lives, and on our lives as Christians particularly, where we have been reconciled. We are in the season of Easter. We are reborn. We are new. We are blooms. And we are called to open. Let the sun shine in on us, the S-O-N, the light of the world, that we may open up and be receiving of that, because God comes to us in Christ. And we're called to be fragrant, to be love, to be gentle, to be beautiful, to be kind, to be strong, to have courage, but to love the other. That's what we're called to do. Like that magnolia blossom. Just to be naturally, whether it was on the tree or in my home, slurping up all that water. Bending to the sun, opening to the sun, to the very last day, where it just gave itself over. Opened as far as it possibly could and gave itself over. That's what we're called to be. No matter what happens in our lives, Christ is our light. Let the light shine in and through you, that you may bloom and be that beautiful, beautiful magnolia blossom to everyone that you meet on this day going forward until Christ carries you home. Amen.